The alternate outfits for Jean, Amber, Rosaria, and Mona have just been released. And while I think we can all agree that the reasoning behind these redesigns existing is kinda whack, I really like how they took the opportunity to change up key aspects of each one rather than just flat out covering stuff up. Of course, if you prefer the original designs, that's fine, but I personally feel that these new ones do a great, and in some ways an even better job of portraying the stories behind these characters purely through their visuals. So today I'm going to go through each of our 4 new designs and explain how each outfit does a great job of representing their respective character, whilst also pointing out some of the more minor differences. Let's start with Amber's 100% Outrider, since I actually disliked it the most when I first saw it. I mean, its changes stand out the least when compared to the other redesigns, so it's not surprising that you might feel like it's hard to even tell the difference between the two. The in-game text describes it as a more formal version of her standard 5-star Outrider outfit. That might seem far-fetched since the changes mostly consist of color swaps, but the more I look, the more I'm inclined to agree. The biggest change is the omission of almost all the brown tones in favor of white and a darker red. The inclusion of more red may seem like a bit much, but the reduction of total colors in the color palette helps with the uniform-like look I think they were going for. Also, it is broken up very well by the accent colors, such that the 2 tones of red are never actually touching, making it not feel too overwhelming. The brown definitely gave Amber a more rugged adventurer feel, which does obviously match her role as an active outrider and gliding champion, but I feel the Knights of Favonius aspect on the gold detailings did kind of get overshadowed. I think putting those on top of white instead on the redesign puts more of a focus on these elements. And combined with some extra details to make it look less like she's wearing a casual hoodie, it makes for a very fitting outfit for Amber that greater emphasizes her role as a Knight of Favonius. I don't feel that very much was sacrificed for these changes, since the bunny ears, goggles, and the feathers on her vision still help maintain that active, playful image. Her classic look still fits as being more comfortable and thus a bit more suitable for physical activity, so it's nice to think of both as being canon in this way. Similarly, Rosaria's To the Church's Free Spirit is said to be custom made for her by the church, as opposed to Executor's Thorns, which was made by herself. Some have expressed how they feel the new outfit undermines Rosaria's character, since the old one very clearly demonstrated her rebelliousness in how she didn't conform to the church's standards. I'd have to disagree though, as it still fits her personality to wear something like this. We all know that Rosaria isn't passionate about being a sister, since she sees church work as her occupation and nothing more. With that said, it's not like she is completely devoid of all commitment to her job. She does do her duties when she really has to, so it's not a stretch to say that there are times where she does what she's supposed to and what is asked of her. And it's not like they just gave her the same church outfit that the NPCs wear, since it still maintains many of her own unique elements, like the jagged cut across the middle piece, her claws, the random belts, and the completely open back. The new design makes it much clearer that she is associated with the church, with a greater focus on the black and white color scheme, since previously it was really only the headpiece which did that. Not so much though to the point where it diminishes what makes her unique. Again though, both designs coexist as outfits that the character would reasonably wear in different situations, and since they are still similar enough, they both do a good job of representing Rosaria's character. It is really unfortunate that going forward, appearances and cutscenes will always feature the new outfits, but I don't find Rosaria to have had that much of a disservice done to her for it to be worth getting mad about. Moving on to the last two, they more so seem to be intended as definitive replacements for their characters' designs. Let's start with Mona's. Similarly to the previous ones, it focuses on expanding on a particular aspect of the character, but it actually made me realize how much the original outfit was lacking. So Flowing Fate went for a swimsuit-like look, which does make sense in the context of her being able to swim on the ground with her illusory torrent alternate sprint, but other than that, it's kind of out of place with regards to her character. Its description mentions it forgoes extra fabric because she's broke, but like, nothing else about her visuals portrays minimalism, so it just looks off. Anyways, her new Pact of Stars and Moon outfit clearly places a much larger focus on the astrological aspect of her backstory. It's not like it wasn't there at all before, but it definitely changed to be a lot more pronounced. Like for example, before this star pattern was more subtle. Well, not only is that expanded on by putting it in more places, but the entire color palette is much more reminiscent of a galaxy with its darker blue-purple gradients. The blocks of contrasting colors on the old design weren't even close to achieving this effect. And this might just be me, but the new colors and additional details as a whole gives her much stronger sorcerer vibes by being more mature looking and slightly less flashy. A couple nitpicks I have are that these white parts look like someone forgot to fill in the color, and I'm not really a fan of the lack of contrast between how the arms look compared to the legs. Overall though, I think it's just a much better fit for representing a fortune-telling astrologist. And lastly, we have Jean's Gunhilda's legacy, which seems to be the most universally liked, and for good reason. Her original Favonian devotion had always done a good job portraying her status as a knight and her authoritative role as the acting Grand Master, and the new design only builds up on that idea. She now has a button-up and 2 sets of added lapels, making her seem much more formal and dignified. The outfit is still mainly white, but black was added as a secondary color, giving a more serious vibe, and the blues were replaced with shades of teal, reminiscent of the anemo element. While not every character's color scheme has to match their element, in fact I prefer it that way, this makes a lot of sense for Jean since she is meant to be associated with Mondstadt. It feels like patriotism wearing your region's signature color, you know? There are also a few more nice but subtle details that were added, like the red highlights being toned down by a black gradient, and more gold with green jewelry like accents, adding an extra touch of elegance. The only thing I'm a bit confused about is why they didn't decide to give her full sleeves over her shoulders to complete the outfit. I just figured they might as well have while they were already making changes, but I don't know, maybe they just really wanted to retain that aspect of her original look. Clearly, the thing which I value most in character design is how good the visual storytelling is. It doesn't always have to be super blatant, but it should be emphasized to the point that it's noticeable, both in terms of specific details and overall vibe. I think the design team has gotten better at this over time, so they probably took the opportunity to bring these older designs up to their current standards. Jean's inclusion especially makes me think that, since I don't think anybody would have predicted her to be one of the first to get changes. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing another wave of redesigns in the near future, but honestly, I have no idea who might be next. I guess I'll throw down some predictions for the heck of it, but don't take these too seriously. Lisa because her design lacks meaningful details, Fischl because, yeah, and Sucrose and Yenfei because I just don't think how they dress fits their characters. But anyways, that about wraps up this video. I hope you found my discussion interesting or insightful, and as always, thanks for watching.